The sleek alien ship glided into Earth orbit silently, its smooth purple hull reflecting the sun's light. Inside the United Nations emergency chamber, screens showed the vessel that had appeared without warning. World leaders sat in stunned silence. After centuries of wondering, the question was answered. Humans were not alone. Major William Carter stood at attention behind the Secretary General, his military uniform crisp and perfectly pressed. As a decorated Marine with 3 combat tours, he had been chosen to represent humanity's defense forces. His weathered face betrayed no emotion, but his mind raced with tactical assessments. "They're hailing us again," said Lisa Harrington, the xenolinguist who had been working non-stop since first contact 72 hours ago. Her red hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, dark circles under her eyes. "The translation program is getting better. I think we should respond this time." The Secretary General nodded. "Put them through." The main screen flickered to life, showing a slender, tall being with iridescent blue skin and large, pupilless eyes. 4 arms were folded in what the humans would later learn was a gesture of peaceful intent. "People of Earth," the translation came through with only slight delays. "I am Ambassador Krell of the Galactic Coalition. We come with peaceful intentions and wish to establish diplomatic relations." Lisa whispered to the Secretary General. "The syntax is improving. The AI is learning their language structure." William studied the alien carefully. Despite the peaceful words, he noticed the being's posture was tense. Fear? Discomfort? His instincts told him something wasn't being said. 3 days later, William and Lisa stood in a specially prepared meeting room at the UN headquarters. Ambassador Krell and 2 other aliens entered, their movements graceful but cautious. "Your gravity is challenging," Krell said, his voice translated by the earpieces the humans wore. "Your world is what we classify as a Class 12 death world." "Death world?" William asked, keeping his voice level. "Planets with conditions most sentient species would find uninhabitable," explained the smaller alien who had introduced himself as Science Officer Morel. "High gravity, extreme temperature variations, aggressive fauna, natural disasters, harmful radiation levels. Yet you evolved here," Krell added, large eyes blinking slowly. "It makes your species unique." Lisa leaned forward. "There are other intelligent species in the coalition?" 117 member species, Krell replied, "most from worlds much more hospitable than Earth." "And why contact us now?" William asked directly. The aliens exchanged glances. "We have been observing your development for some time," Krell said carefully. "Your technological advancement is impressive considering your challenging environment. The Coalition believes it is time to extend an invitation." William noticed the slight twitch in Krell's upper left arm. His military training had taught him to spot signs of deception. "And the real reason?" The room fell silent. Krell's skin shifted slightly in color. "We face a threat," Krell finally admitted. "One that requires different perspectives." In the weeks that followed, Earth governments debated the Coalition's offer of technological exchange and protection. Scientists and military leaders alike were fascinated by the alien tech demonstrations. Faster-than-light travel, gravity manipulation, energy generation methods centuries beyond Earth capabilities. William was assigned to oversee security for the growing diplomatic mission. He watched as Lisa worked tirelessly with the aliens, developing better translation systems and learning about Coalition cultures. "They're afraid of us," Lisa told William one evening as they walked through the secure compound. "Have you noticed how they flinch when someone moves too quickly?" William nodded. "Their homeworlds have lower gravity, less environmental threats. They evolve differently. Yesterday I dropped my tablet. The sound made Ambassador Krell jump so badly he needed to rest afterward," Lisa said. "And when you described basic military training to their security team, they looked sick." William finished. "Especially the endurance tests." Lisa stopped walking and lowered her voice. "They classified us as potentially volatile but valuable allies. I saw it in a transmission I wasn't supposed to translate. William, I think they're desperate." Their conversation was interrupted by alarms. William's communication device buzzed with an emergency code. In the main conference room, the coalition representatives stood around a holographic display showing a star system William didn't recognize. Red indicators blinked throughout the display. "This is happening now," Krell said, all four hands moving through the hologram to expand the image. "The Ryler colony, population 11 million. The humans watched in silence as strange, dark ships moved through the coalition defenses like they weren't there. The alien vessels resembled black, jagged crystals, moving in patterns that seemed impossible. "Who are they?" the Secretary General asked. "We call them the Voidborn," Krell said, his voice trembling slightly. "They came from the Andromeda Galaxy, 3 of your years ago. This is the 14th colony they've attacked." William studied the tactical display, noting the coalition ship's movements. "Your defense strategy is flawed," he said without thinking. "You're too predictable, too careful." The aliens stared at him. "Major Carter is one of our finest military strategists," the Secretary General explained quickly. "How would humans defend differently?" asked a coalition security officer who had been quiet until now. William stepped forward, pointing to the display. "Your ships maintain perfect formation, attacking in waves. The enemy has figured out your patterns." He moved his hands through the hologram, repositioning the defenders. "Unpredictability, aggression, target their flanks, disrupt their formation." The aliens looked uncomfortable. "Such tactics would result in defender casualties," Krell noted. "Yes," William agreed, "but fewer overall losses and a higher chance of victory." Later that night, William found Lisa analyzing new data from the coalition. "They've been watching us for decades," she said without looking up. "They have thousands of hours of our broadcasts, our wars, our sports, our emergency responses to disasters. They've been studying us," William realized. "Like specimens," Lisa agreed. "But want to know something interesting? After every major conflict on Earth, World War II, the Middle East conflicts, the water wars, their observation posts around our solar system increased." William frowned. "They were watching how we fight and how we survive," Lisa added. "The conditions on Earth that they find unbearable. Our gravity, our weather, our biology. They've been assessing if these things make us weapons," William finished. 5 months after first contact, the UN voted to establish formal relations with the Galactic Coalition. The technology exchanges began, carefully monitored by both sides. Earth received medical advancements and clean energy systems. The Coalition received little in return, except for endless questions about human physiology, psychology, and military doctrine. On the day the treaties were signed, William stood at the back of the Grand Hall, watching Ambassador Krell address the world's leaders. The alien spoke of friendship and cooperation, of a bright future among the stars. But when Krell's eyes met William's across the room, the Major saw what the diplomatic words tried to hide. Not just fear of the enemy they had mentioned, but fear of their new allies. Fear of humans. William smiled slightly. Whatever threat loomed in the darkness between galaxies, Earth would be ready. The aliens had come seeking help from the inhabitants of a world they called deadly. They would learn just how apt that description was. 5 years passed since first contact. Earth changed rapidly as coalition technology spread across the planet. Clean energy replaced fossil fuels. New medicines cured diseases thought incurable. The world enjoyed peace, not seen in centuries. But Colonel Frank Morrison knew peace never lasted. Promoted after William Carter became general, Frank now led Earth's first interstellar military unit. His office aboard the orbital station Freedom had a view of Earth's new defense fleet. 8 ships built with coalition help, but distinctly human in design. A knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. Dr. Olivia Winters entered without waiting for permission. Her lab coat had fresh burn marks on one sleeve. "The hybrid weapons work," she said, dropping a data tablet on his desk. "We combined their energy tech with our guidance systems. The result is..." She paused, searching for the right word. Devastating? Frank suggested. Terrifying, Olivia. Corrected. The Coalition engineers left the lab when I showed them the test results. Frank wasn't surprised. After years working with aliens, humans understood they found Earth's approach to warfare disturbing. Where Coalition species developed weapons as deterrents, humans built them to be used. Ambassador Krell requested an emergency meeting, Frank said, standing up. Something big is happening. In the station's conference room, Frank found Lisa Harrington already seated beside Krell. Now fluent in 3 Coalition languages, Lisa served as Earth's chief diplomat. Her expression told Frank the news wasn't good. Colonel, Krell greeted him, all 4 hands performing the formal gesture of respect. The Coalition High Council has authorized me to share classified information. A hologram appeared above the table showing a spiral galaxy. Andromeda, Krell said, home of the Voidborn. The image zoomed in to show thousands of the crystal-like black ships they had glimpsed years ago. We monitored their movements since first detection. We believed they were simply exploring. We were wrong. Krell's voice trembled. 3 days ago they destroyed Bellis Prime. 8 billion lives ended in hours. Frank studied the attack footage. The black ships moved in patterns that seemed random at first, then revealed themselves as highly coordinated. Coalition defenses fell quickly. Their biology is silicon-based, Krell continued. Their psychology unknown. All attempts at communication have failed. They consume resources and move on. A hive mind, Lisa suggested. Acting with single purpose. We believe so, Krell agreed. Our scientists estimate they will reach Coalition core worlds within 1 Earth year. Earth itself within 18 months. Frank leaned forward. Why tell us now? You've known about this threat for years. Krell's skin darkened with emotion. The Coalition Council was divided on involving Earth. Some feared giving humans advanced technology. Others feared what would happen if we asked for your help. Asked for our help? Frank repeated. The Coalition military follows strict protocols, Krell explained. Minimal casualties. Defensive postures, clean warfare. He gestured to the hologram showing the devastation. These tactics fail against the Voidborn. You need someone who fights dirty, Olivia said, understanding. We need humans, Krell admitted. You evolved on a world that forced you to adapt or die. You understand survival at any cost. Frank exchanged glances with Lisa and Olivia. This explained the years of careful technology transfers, the endless questions about human military doctrine. Show me everything you have on their attack patterns, Frank said. 2 months later, Frank stood on the bridge of the USS Defender, Earth's first true warship. Through the view screen, he watched as 6 more human vessels took position alongside 24 Coalition ships. Their first joint mission against the Voidborn would begin in hours. Coalition Command is sending final mission parameters, said Lieutenant Eric Sanders, the communications officer. Young but brilliant, Eric had redesigned the ship's combat systems based on his study of Voidborn tactics. Put it through, Frank ordered. The battle plan appeared on the main screen. Frank frowned as he studied it. They still don't get it, he muttered. This formation leaves the flanks exposed. Coalition Admiral Zenrik insists on leading the assault, Eric reported. He outranks you. Frank made a quick decision. Send a private channel to all Earth ships. We'll follow orders until combat begins. Then we adapt as needed. The Voidborn appeared exactly where intelligence predicted. A resource-rich system with 2 habitable planets. The black crystal ships moved with disturbing grace, their formation unlike anything in Coalition military doctrine. Coalition ships arranged themselves in perfect defensive lines. Frank watched the tactical display with growing concern. They're using the same strategy that failed at Bellis Prime, he said. Get me Admiral Zenrik. The alien admiral appeared on screen. Colonel Morrison, maintain formation. Admiral, with respect. They're setting up to flank your line. Look at their movement. Pattern. Our analysis does not support. The transmission cut off as the first Voidborn weapons fired. Coalition ships began falling one by one, their perfect formation becoming a perfect target. Frank made his decision. All Earth vessels, break formation. Execute attack pattern Delta. Target their command vessels. The human ships broke away, moving in seemingly chaotic patterns that confused both their allies and enemies. Eric's designed maneuvers put the ships where Voidborn didn't expect, allowing targeted strikes against key vessels. Coalition ships are hailing us, Eric reported. They're ordering us back into formation. Tell them we're creating a diversion, Frank replied. He turned to the weapons officer. Deploy the new hybrid torpedoes. Let's show them what Earth brings to this fight. The weapons Olivia designed streaked toward the largest Voidborn ship. Unlike Coalition energy weapons that dissipated against Voidborn shields, these penetrated and detonated inside. The massive black vessel shattered into fragments. For a moment, all ships paused as if in shock. Their formation is breaking, Eric announced. The Voidborn are retreating. When the battle ended, 7 Coalition ships had been destroyed. All Earth vessels remained operational despite heavy damage. The Voidborn had been driven back for the first time since they entered Coalition space. In the aftermath, Frank faced a furious Admiral Zenrik via hologram. You disobeyed direct orders, the alien commander said. Your tactics endangered the entire fleet. My tactics saved the entire fleet, Frank countered. The Voidborn have never retreated before. Now we know they can be beaten. At what cost? Zenrik demanded. Your vessels executed maneuvers our pilots physically cannot perform. You deployed weapons the Coalition Council never approved. We deployed weapons that worked, Frank said simply. Later, alone with Lisa in his quarters, Frank reviewed battle footage. The Coalition is afraid of us, he said quietly. They saw what we can do today. Lisa nodded. I intercepted communications between Zenrik and the Council. Some are calling for the immediate termination of the Earth Alliance. They won't do it, Frank said confidently. They need us too badly now. There's something else, Lisa added. A Coalition intelligence officer named Drell approached me after the battle. He says some Council members always intended to use humans as weapons against the Voidborn. After the war, they plan to make sure humans never leave our solar system again. Frank's expression hardened. Then we better make ourselves too valuable to cage. Outside the viewport, stars gleamed coldly. Among them, the enemy waited. And soon they would learn why challenging a Deathworld species was a fatal mistake. 6 months after the first victory against the Voidborn, the war had changed. Human ships now led many battle groups. Captain Abigail Ross stood on the bridge of the USS Defender, the most decorated vessel in Earth's growing fleet. Through the viewport, she watched Coalition repair ships working on damaged vessels. Status report, she ordered, turning to her crew. Hull integrity at 87%, the engineering officer reported. Weapons fully operational. We can launch in 30 minutes. Abigail nodded. Unlike Coalition ships that required weeks of repairs after battle, human vessels were designed to keep fighting. Redundant systems, damage control teams, and quick field repairs were concepts the aliens struggled to understand. Lieutenant Eric Sanders approached with a data tablet. His face showed the weariness they all felt after 3 straight battles. Coalition Command is unhappy again, he said quietly. Admiral Zenrik filed another formal complaint about our tactics in the Proxima sector. Abigail took the tablet, scanning the report. We saved their homeworld. What's he complaining about now? The usual. Excessive risk-taking. Unauthorized. Weapon deployments. Ignoring retreat orders. Eric allowed himself a small smile. Also, he says our combat maneuvers are physiologically distressing to Coalition pilots. Abigail handed the tablet back. Tell them we'll discuss it after we finish saving their civilization. The ship's communication system chimed. Captain Ross, said a voice she recognized as Ambassador Krell. Your presence is requested at Coalition headquarters immediately. At headquarters, Abigail found not just Krell, but also Dr. Olivia Winters and Colonel Frank Morrison, now promoted to general. Frank's expression was grim. Captain, he greeted her. The situation has changed. Ambassador, Krell activated a holographic display showing a star map. The Voidborn have altered their strategy, They're bypassing Coalition strongholds and heading directly for Earth. Abigail studied the projection. They're learning. They recognize which species poses the greatest threat. Precisely, Krell agreed. Our intelligence suggests they consider humans the primary obstacle to their expansion. How long do we have? Abigail asked. 3 weeks at most, Frank answered. We're recalling all Earth vessels to defend our system. What about Coalition support? Abigail looked at Krell. The ambassador's skin darkened with what she now recognized as embarrassment. The High Council is debating the appropriate response. They're debating whether to help us? Olivia asked incredulously. After everything we've done? Some council members believe concentrating defenses around their core worlds is the logical strategy, Krell explained carefully. Earth is considered high risk but ultimately replaceable in the greater galactic defense. The room fell silent as the humans absorbed this betrayal. I have always advocated for the human alliance, Krell added quickly, but I am one voice among many. How many ships can we count on? Frank asked. Perhaps 1/3 of the Coalition fleet. The rest are being redeployed to protect Coalition worlds. Abigail felt cold anger rising. So we're expendable. I did not say that, Krell protested. You didn't have to, Frank replied. He turned to his fellow humans. We need to prepare Earth for the fight of its life. 2 weeks later, Abigail stood at the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Earth's most hardened military installation. Holographic displays showed the approaching void-born fleet, larger than any they had faced before. All civilian evacuation. Ships have launched, reported an aide. Orbital defenses are ready. Ground forces deployed to critical infrastructure. Earth's defenders included 27 human warships and 11 Coalition vessels that had defied their council's orders. Not nearly enough against the hundreds of void-born ships approaching. Eric Sanders rushed into the command center, his face excited despite the grim situation. Captain, you need to see this. He connected his tablet to the main display. I've been analyzing tissue samples from void-born wreckage after our last battle. The screen showed microscopic images of damaged void-born biological components. Their silicon-based biology is breaking down in specific patterns. At first I thought it was our weapons causing it, but look at this. He zoomed in further. These are Earth-based bacteria. Somehow our microbes are attacking their systems. Olivia joined them, studying the images. That's impossible. Silicon-based life shouldn't be affected by our carbon-based microorganisms. But it is, Eric insisted. Something about Earth bacteria is toxic to them. That's why they're targeting us first. We're not just a military threat, we're a biological one. Frank stepped forward. Can we weaponize this? Olivia's eyes widened. Create a biological weapon? Against the Voidborn? She thought for a moment. Theoretically, yes. We could enhance these bacteria. Make them more aggressive against their biology. Do it, Frank ordered. We need every advantage. Olivia hesitated. The Coalition strictly prohibits biological warfare. It violates at least 6 articles of the Alliance Treaty. The Coalition is abandoning us to die, Abigail pointed out. I think the treaty is already broken. The first Voidborn ships entered the solar system 3 days later. Earth's defenders met them at Jupiter's orbit. The battle was unlike anything humans had experienced before. Abigail commanded the defender at the front of Earth's formation. All ships engage at will. Remember your training. These aren't the orderly Coalition forces we practiced against. The Voidborn attacked with seemingly suicidal tactics, sacrificing ships to break through Earth's defenses. For 12 hours, the battle raged across the solar system. Human ingenuity and adaptability matched against the hive mind's overwhelming numbers. Hull breach on decks 5 through 8, reported Abigail's first officer as the ship shuddered from another hit. Emergency bulkheads holding. Reroute power to forward shields, Abigail ordered. Prepare to execute maneuver Sierra 9. The Defender spun on its axis, bringing undamaged weapons to bear. 3 Voidborn ships exploded under concentrated fire. Captain, Eric called from his station. Coalition vessels are retreating. Abigail watched in disbelief as their allies broke formation and jumped away. Get me their commander. A coalition captain appeared on screen. Captain Ross, we've received orders to fall back to secondary positions. The High Council has decided this position is untenable. We're still fighting here, Abigail shouted. I'm sorry. We cannot disobey direct orders. The transmission cut off. Eric looked up from his console, face pale. They're withdrawing all coalition forces from Earth space. We're on our own. The battle continued for another day. When it ended, only 8 human ships remained operational. The Voidborn had lost dozens of vessels but still outnumbered Earth's defenders 10-1. Worse, they had broken through to Earth orbit. In the Mountain Command Center, Frank received the casualty reports with a stone face. Major cities around the world lay in ruins from Voidborn bombardment. Millions dead, billions at risk. Olivia entered, looking exhausted but determined. It's ready. We've modified the bacteria to target Voidborn biological systems specifically. Lab tests show complete breakdown of their tissue samples within hours. Any risk to coalition species? Frankie asked. Some. Minimal to most. But the Ferran and Talaxians share enough silicon compounds in their biology to be affected. Not fatally, but they would become ill. Frank weighed the decision. The coalition had abandoned Earth to its fate. But using biological weapons would confirm their worst fears about humans. Abigail's voice came through the command channel. General, the Voidborn are launching landing craft. Ground invasion has begun. Frank made his decision. Deploy the weapon. Authorization code. Morrison Alpha 7. Yes, sir, Olivia replied quietly. As the modified bacteria spread through Earth's atmosphere, Frank sent one final message to Coalition headquarters. You asked for our help, then left us to die. Now witness what Deathworlders do when their home is threatened. We didn't start this fire, but we will finish it. 1 month after the biological weapons deployment, Earth was still standing, but the cost had been enormous. Admiral Richard Bennett surveyed the ruins of what was once Washington, D.C. from the window of his transport. The city, like many others, around the world lay in ruins. 40% of Earth's population was gone. Sir, we're approaching the new command center, his pilot announced. The underground facility had become humanity's war room after the mountain base was destroyed. Richard's expression remained stone-like as he exited the craft. At 62, he was the oldest active military commander. Now he led what remained of Earth's forces. Lisa Harrington met him at the entrance. The years of war had changed her. Gone was the enthusiastic xenolinguist. In her place stood a hardened intelligence director with eyes that had seen too much. Admiral, they're waiting for you, she said, leading him through security checkpoints. In the central chamber, General Frank Morrison stood with Dr. Olivia Winters and Captain Abigail Ross. Their faces showed the strain of constant battle. The weapon worked, Olivia reported without preamble. Voidborn ground forces began breaking down within hours of exposure. Their ships in low orbit showed systems failures consistent with biological contamination. The invasion has been halted, Frank added. But they still hold positions in our outer system. Richard studied the tactical display. Casualties? 4 billion, Lisa said quietly. Though we're still getting reports from isolated areas, Richard closed his eyes briefly. His family had been in Boston when it was hit. And the coalition response? Lisa's expression hardened. They've sent a delegation. They're demanding an explanation for our prohibited biological warfare and insisting we surrender all research materials. They abandoned us to die and now they make demands? Abigail's voice shook with anger. It's worse, Lisa continued. I've decoded their secure transmissions. The Coalition Council knew about the Voidborn weakness to Earth bacteria before first contact. It's why they reached out to us specifically. Silence fell across the room as the implications sank in. They used us, Frank said finally. They needed our biology but feared our potential. Their delegation arrives in 2 hours, Lisa said. Ambassador Krell is leading it. Richard straightened his uniform. Then let's give them a proper welcome. The meeting took place in what had once been a school gymnasium, now converted to a temporary government facility. Richard sat with Earth's remaining leadership as the coalition delegates entered. Ambassador Krell looked uncomfortable in Earth's gravity, even more so under the cold stares of the humans. 5 other aliens accompanied him, including Admiral Zenrik. "We come with grave concerns," Krell began. "Our sensors detected biological agents deployed against the Voidborn. This violates multiple treaty provisions." Richard leaned forward. "The treaty you violated first when you withdrew your forces and left us to die? Tactical withdrawal is not treaty violation," Admiral Zenrik countered. "Biological warfare is expressly forbidden under Article 7. So is knowingly withholding information about an enemy's weaknesses," Lisa interjected. "Like the fact that Earth bacteria are toxic to Voidborn biology. Information you had before you ever contacted us." The aliens shifted uncomfortably. "We must insist on the surrender of all biological research materials," Krell continued, avoiding her accusation. "Such weapons threaten the entire galactic community." "No," Richard said simply. "Admiral Bennett, please understand." "No," Richard repeated, standing up. "You came to our world because you needed us. You needed what made us different. Our strength, our tactics, our biology. But you feared those same qualities. Now let me be perfectly clear. Earth is not surrendering anything." The Coalition. "Council will view this as an act of rebellion," Admiral Zenrik warned. "The Council abandoned 4 billion humans to die," Frank said. "We no longer recognize their authority." Krell's color changed in distress. "What are you saying?" "We're saying that Earth is implementing its own solution to the Voidborn," Richard responded. "Operation Hellfire is already underway." On the display, behind him, tactical readouts showed the remaining Earth fleet mobilizing throughout the solar system. "You cannot possibly hope to defeat the Voidborn with your remaining forces," Zenrik said, studying the display with professional interest. "Not with conventional tactics," Olivia agreed. She activated another display showing modified Earth vessels. "But these ships aren't carrying conventional weapons." Understanding dawned on the alien faces. "You've weaponized the bacteria on a massive scale," Krell whispered. "Delivery systems are ready," Abigail confirmed. "Our ships will jump directly into Voidborn-controlled systems and deploy the biological agents." "You risk spreading contamination to innocent worlds," Zenrik protested. "We've modified the bacteria to break down after 72 hours, Olivia explained, "and specified it to target only Voidborn biology. The risk to other species is minimal. Except for the Farron and Tlaxians," Krell noted. "Their silicon-based biology will be affected." "We've informed their governments directly," Lisa said. "Unlike the Coalition Council, we chose honesty. They've already begun evacuating systems near Voidborn space." Krell looked shocked. "You contacted Coalition member species without Council authorization?" "We contacted allies who deserve to know the truth," Richard corrected. "Several have offered support for Operation Hellfire despite Council orders." The meeting ended with the Coalition delegation returning to their ship in stunned silence. As they departed Earth orbit, Richard watched from the command center with his leadership team. "They'll try to stop us," Frank warned. "They can try," Richard replied. "Launch the operation. All ships, execute jump protocols." Across the solar system, Earth's remaining 22 warships vanished into faster-than-light travel, each carrying the biological weapon to a different, Voidborn stronghold. 2 weeks later, Richard received the first reports. The Voidborn fleet at Proxima Centauri had been completely neutralized. 3 more systems reported similar results. Earth ships had taken losses, but the strategy was working. In his private office, Richard reviewed the classified data with his inner circle. "The Voidborn are retreating across all fronts," he announced. "Their hive consciousness is experiencing collective trauma unlike anything they've encountered before. The Coalition is scrambling to respond," Lisa added. "Their fleets are moving to claim territories as the Voidborn withdraw. They're trying to take credit for the victory." "Let them," Richard said. "We didn't do this for glory." Abigail, freshly returned from leading one of the strike teams, looked up from her tablet. "Sir, we're getting strange readings from the edge of the solar system. Something big is coming through." The display showed an enormous ship unlike any they had seen before, neither Voidborn nor Coalition in design. "It's broadcasting on all frequencies," Eric reported from his station. "Message is in multiple languages, including English." "Let's hear it," Richard ordered. A deep, resonant voice filled the room. "People of Earth, I am Elder Krelth of the Galactic Assembly. The association you know as the Coalition is merely one political entity among many. We have observed your conflict with the Voidborn with great interest. Your victory has not gone unnoticed. The Assembly requests dialogue with the species that accomplished what the Coalition could not." Richard exchanged glances with his team. "It seems the galaxy is larger than our friends led us to believe." "Sir," Lisa said quietly, "what do we do now?" Richard straightened his uniform. "We remind everyone that those who threaten Earth receive fire, and those who stand with us find unwavering allies. Open a channel. Let's introduce ourselves properly." As the connection established, the humans of Earth prepared to take their place among the stars, not as the pawns the Coalition had intended, but as a force that had earned its right to be heard. 6 months after Operation Hellfire, Earth was rebuilding. Construction crews worked day and night across damaged cities. New buildings rose from ruins. The planet bore deep scars, but its people had survived. Admiral Richard Bennett stood in the newly constructed Earth Space Command headquarters in Geneva. Through the vast windows he watched ships coming and going, not just human vessels but craft from a dozen worlds. Some bore Coalition markings, others displayed symbols of the Galactic Assembly, which had opened formal relations with Earth. Lisa Harrington entered, now serving as Earth's chief diplomat to galactic affairs. "The Assembly representatives are ready, Admiral." Richard nodded and followed her to the conference room. Inside waited a diverse group. Elder Krelth of the Assembly, a tall being with silvery skin, sat at the center. Representatives from 8 Coalition species, including several who had defied Council orders to help Earth, filled one side of the table. Ambassador Krell sat among them, looking uncomfortable. On the human side sat General Frank Morrison, Dr. Olivia Winters, Captain Abigail Ross, and Lieutenant Eric Sanders, the core team that had seen Earth through its darkest days. "Let us begin," Elder Krelth said, his deep voice filling the room. "The Voidborn have retreated entirely from this galaxy. Their hive consciousness appears to have classified this region as toxic after experiencing the Earth bioweapon. A remarkable achievement. One the Coalition Council opposed," Frank noted, looking pointedly at Krell. "The Council was short-sighted," Krell admitted. "Many members have since been replaced. The Assembly has observed Earth for some time," Elder Krelth continued. "Initially through Coalition reports, which we found incomplete. They were afraid of us," Abigail said bluntly. "With reason," Krelth acknowledged. "Your species evolved in conditions most galactic races find impossible. Your approach to warfare is unlike anything in our records. You create weapons not as deterrents but as tools to be used. We do what's necessary to survive," Richard stated. "Precisely," Krelth agreed. "And that quality saved not just your world, but potentially many civilizations. The Assembly believes Earth deserves a proper place in galactic affairs." He activated a holographic display showing a new treaty document. "We propose the formation of the Terran Defense Alliance," Krelth explained. "Earth would provide military protection to smaller worlds in exchange for resources and technology to aid your rebuilding." Richard studied the document. "This would give Earth ships authority to operate throughout Assembly space." "Yes," Krelth confirmed. "Many worlds lack your military capabilities, but possess resources you need." Krell leaned forward. "The Coalition Council has submitted an alternative proposal." He displayed a different document. "We offer technological assistance and full alliance membership, with certain safeguards." Lisa frowned as she read the details. These safeguards would limit Earth's fleet size and weapons development. We would need Council approval for any military operations beyond our system. Standard conditions for new members, Krell said smoothly. Richard looked at Frank, who gave a slight shake of his head. They had discussed this possibility. Ambassador Krell, Richard said carefully, your proposal sounds like a cage with comfortable padding. A reasonable precaution, Admiral Zenrik interjected from beside Krell. Earth has demonstrated both remarkable capabilities and a willingness to ignore established protocols. Protocols that would have led to our extinction, Olivia pointed out. Richard stood walking to the window overlooking the city. Construction crews worked on a memorial to those lost in the war. Here is Earth's position, he said finally. We will join neither the Coalition nor the Assembly as subordinates. The Terran Defense Alliance will be independent, open to partnership with any world that seeks it. The Coalition Council will see this as a threat, Zenrik warned. No, Richard corrected. They'll see it as an opportunity. Worlds that want actual protection rather than political maneuvering will have an alternative. Elder Krelth studied the humans thoughtfully. The Assembly finds this intriguing. An independent human alliance could balance Coalition influence in contested regions. After the meeting, Earth's leadership team gathered in Richard's office. The Coalition won't accept this easily, Frankie warned. They'll try to isolate us economically, limit our expansion. They can try, Lisa said. But I've already received unofficial requests for defense partnerships from 14 worlds, including 3 Coalition members. What about the biological weapon? Olivia asked. Both the Assembly and Coalition want us to surrender the research. Richard shook his head. That knowledge stays on Earth, under guard. We won't use it again unless absolutely necessary, but we won't surrender our greatest deterrent either. 3 weeks later, Admiral Richard Bennett stood on the observation deck of the orbital station Freedom. Below, Earth continued its recovery. Above, a fleet of new ships prepared for departure. Captain Abigail Ross approached, now wearing the uniform of a fleet commander. All vessels report ready, Admiral. First deployment of the Terran Defense Alliance is prepared to launch. Richard nodded. You have your assignments. Establish bases at the coordinates provided by our new allies. Remember, we're not conquerors or politicians. We're protectors. Yes, sir. Abigail hesitated. Sir, what do you think the Coalition will do when they realize we're establishing bases within what they consider their sphere of influence? They'll protest loudly, then adjust to reality, Richard said. They still need us more than they want to admit. As the human fleet prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed, a Coalition diplomatic vessel requested emergency docking. Ambassador, Krell hurried to the command center looking agitated. Admiral Bennett, he said urgently, the Coalition Council has just received disturbing news. Long-range sensors detect unusual activity at the edge of Andromeda Galaxy. The Voidborn may be preparing a second wave, with new defenses against your bioweapon. Richard studied Krell carefully. And suddenly the Coalition needs Earth again. We request your assistance in developing defensive strategies, Krell said carefully. Not as subordinates, Richard clarified. As equals. Krell's color shifted in what humans now recognized as resignation. As equals. Later, alone with his leadership team, Richard allowed himself a rare smile. So the cycle begins again. First they fear us, then they need us. The difference, Lisa noted, is that now they respect us. Frank looked out at the stars. We should thank the Voidborn. Without them, we might have remained isolated on our little death world for centuries. I wonder what else is out there, Olivia mused. Other threats, other civilizations beyond even the Assembly's knowledge. Whatever's waiting, Richard said, humanity will face it the same way we've faced everything since we crawled from the mud of our dangerous world. Together, adapting, surviving. Abigail's communication device chimed. Admiral, all ships report ready for jump. Richard nodded. Launch the fleet. Let the galaxy know. Those who threaten peace will face humanity's fire. Those who stand with us will never stand alone. As Earth ships vanished into the darkness between stars, Ambassador Krell watched from the observation deck. He remembered his first meeting with humans years ago, how he had feared their potential for violence. Now he understood what his people had misunderstood all along. The galaxy had asked Deathworlders for mercy against an unmerciful enemy. Instead, they had delivered fire. And in that fire, countless worlds found not just protection, but a chance to rebuild, to grow, to live without fear. Perhaps, Krell thought, that was the greatest mercy of all.